Hey subscribers, Kevin the editor here. I hope you have a cup of coffee and a comfy seat because this is going to be a long video to watch again. This video covers the public hearing and comments for a new Blanche Road development request put before the Cedartown City Commission on Monday, August 8th. We'll be posting a shorter part 2 video along with this one here in just a few.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regular meeting of our Cedartown City Commission for the month of August. I want to thank all of you for coming today. Before we get to our meeting portion, we have a public hearing. It is for the rezoning goals I'm on. Blanche Road, C2 commercial to PD1 plan development parcel 030-011. I'll turn it over to our attorney.
Okay, and y'all have heard the announcement of the chairman. Is anyone here to speak for that conditional use request? And before we get started, if I could ask that everyone limit comments either way to 5 minutes or less.
Good evening. Robert Lewis, here representing Mr. Azuma for the rezoning of Blanche Road from C2 to the PUD for proposed townhomes, 40 units. It's going to be actually be on sewer, city sewer. We've heard that there was they were asked to have a decel lane. I was not here for the last meeting, but we've actually shown that on the plan, and it seems to work well. That was the only request that we had for the actual previous hearings. And I can answer any questions that you may have other than that.
Are you the developer for Mr. Zama?
I'm the surveyor and design professional, I guess, for that.
Remind me, what's the total acreage?
It's 11.54, I think it is. Let's see, I think it's on here. Yeah, 11.54.
What type of units are these? For the townhome complex?
Townhome complex.
But, can you give a description on the number of bedrooms, what type of estimated revenue?
As far as that we've discussed so far, they're all 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. The ones we were proposing now have a single-car garage. So with that in the drive, it will have adequate parking and some overflow parking in the drive. So it wouldn't be any parking in the streets and things like that for safety reasons.
And what about the rental, how are you figuring out how much these will pay for?
I'm not really very, in that kind of ballpark about what they rent for, but I know there'll be, I think they're over 1,700 square feet each one. I would assume that 1,700 square feet, you're gonna be looking at, I think they're gonna be 225 and over. I'm not for certain on that, that's not my.
It is market value, but.
Market value, yes, ma'am.
Market value, okay. How
40. And that is if we can, that's the maximum. We may go down from there, but not up.
I don't mean this question in an adversarial way, I'm just trying to get all my notes together. Is Mr. Zaman, is he away out of town, can be here tonight?
He is usually out of town as far as I know. When we communicate, we usually, sometimes we're on different time zones even, so, we usually just by email, so I'm not sure where he is at tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anyone else here to speak for the conditional use request? Is anyone here to speak against the conditional use request?
My name is Mary Ann Little. I live at 138 Brack Drive. I have handouts if that's okay. First of all, I'd like to clarify, are we talking about these being sold or rented? Rented is what has been the discussion. And how much rent were you looking, I think the last quote was between 1,600 and 1,800 a month? Okay, I just wanted to clarify that point. Okay, I'm assuming that this issue is twofold in that we're not only considering a zoning change, but it's also being considered to improve the development, is that correct? Are these all, this is a two-in-one?
The plan, that plan doesn't.
Okay, all right, so, that's how I approached this, so is that there's gonna be two considerations here. Okay, first of all, that property being zoned commercial, I do think, I'm speaking on behalf of several people here, so, I've sort of been designated spokesperson, so you might not hear from as many others. That commercial property that enters onto Blanche Road, a very minor thoroughfare, it's not even striped at this time, you know, is not a great thing. I mean, being commercial, if we agree, it's not good. However, we would support the zoning of it being low-density, single-family residential, not the high-density multifamily or rental that is being proposed at this time. The points being that approval as presented is setting a negative and dangerous precedent for the remaining parcels that are on Blanche Road, transitioning our area from what are neighborhoods to rent-a-hoods. There's concern for additional overcrowding in our schools. The last development caused that. It's still not remediated. Do you as the city commissioners and decision makers want to share the responsibility of putting more children in trailers outside the perimeters of a more safe and secure brick and mortar facility? With high density housing comes more demands on public services than they typically generate in taxes. We're already looking at a sewer project. The road is not in any way able to handle the additional probably 100 cars. If you give your 40 townhomes that are 3-bedroom, minimal, there'd probably be 2 vehicles per unit plus a driver, probably a teenage driver in at least half of those. Also looking at public service issues, expenses, how you're gonna balance that against 40 rental occupants, and that's it. That's paying right there. Sewer's already available along the main corridor, along the bypass, which it should be. We understand development along there, probably commercial, which it, should be. That's a large thoroughfare there. Blanche is not. Blanche is a very minor road, and we just don't see that additional development. They'll be added to the bindings that is already there. The road has blind curves in it. This particular property is in a blind curve. If you're going out to the bypass from, say, the railroad track area, if you run up on the school bus in the morning or whether it's a dangerous situation, and now you're gonna be backed up double if you put yet another turn lane off of that road into another large complex. So these are things to consider. The property should, you know, we just don't say it should be commercial to start with, but, and also coming back off for sewer and that kind of thing, large expenses. Public safety concern due to a further increase in traffic. Public safety concern due to increase in residential crime such as theft and car break-ins, which we have experienced in our area since completion of the last high-density development along Blanche Road. A decrease in the median home property values. Currently, the approximate median value is $380,000. Rental townhomes will not positively support that value. Also, the county, Polk County, along with the cities in the county developed, which was put out and published in January 2022, the Polk County City of Cedartown Joint Comprehensive Plan. It was to go from 2022 to 2026. The plan is new, it's intense, well thought out, designed, and it is a joint project. And it was published in January. And already it appears that this is approved, and that project has been abandoned and is being disregarded. And I have a handout to show you that. If you would please refer to the second page of the packet that I gave you. It shows you the characteristic areas that were assigned to our particular area, including this piece of property. We were designated as suburban residential. I have highlighted in yellow all of the parts of that designation that this project violates, and put in red how the violation will occur. First B, our area is to be high open space, high to moderate degree of building separation, predominantly residential. The proposed development is residential housing with a low degree of building separation in direct conflict with this plan. Further down, it's supposed to be traditional neighborhood. There are pictures that were supplied in that document. Nothing reflects a lot of low space in between high density housing. Also, that there was supposed to be traffic calming improvements. Based on those 40 units with 3 bedrooms, as I said, you're looking at approximately 100 vehicles, and that's a conservative estimate on Blanche Road, which would definitely not be a traffic calming improvement. And finally, the last bullet, accessory housing units, well-designed, small-scale infill, multifamily. The Vinings has accomplished that. It is currently, I guess if we consider that many units, small-scale infill of multifamily residents, it's there already. You go and add yet another large not necessarily multifamily, but low, high density, low space in between, then you've gone from small scale to now large scale. So that too is in violation of the joint project between the City of Cedartown and Polk County, newly published. Back to the points. The current rental development, the Vinings met and exceeded that small scale infill. And we do not need, we see any more of that, or we're gonna be out of compliance with your plan. This development's not gonna help local businesses such as real estate, insurance companies, etc. Because if we face the facts, this development's probably gonna end up under Section 8 or 42 guidelines and control. And that's not gonna benefit anyone here trying to, get people to rent or to benefit businesses selling homeowners insurance, anything like that. I just had them verify that they're looking for these to rent between $1,600 and $1,800 a month. If you'll look at the third handout, I researched 3-bedroom properties in this area. I got 6 comps. The median rental for 3 bedrooms is $781. That in no way is anywhere near what this developer is expecting to get out of these properties. And also, the last page, though it's about the Vinings, it's the blue box that is of importance. There was a study conducted in 2015 to 2017 before the Vinings completion occurred. the target was this a rental market? What type of market was it? The findings returned was that the analysis determined that the feasibility was for 50 to 60% AMI, which was considered the characteristic rental population in the area. In no way could that support rental of $1,600 to $1,800 a month. That's where you get your 781. The developer has put in writing that leasing is what the market will bear for the units. The market in no way is going to bear what he thinks he's going to get. I never like to come at something negative without positives. So, what would be proposed is that this be, as I said, rezoned to single family, low density residential. He has invested $59,900 in that 11 acres. It's on the tax records, it's public knowledge. So he could see a nice return in his investment by building some single family homes, large space in between to fit the character area that was designated in the plan that all of you were a part of, and also a part of with the county. So nice return on his investment. We're not opposed to growth, we're just opposed to poorly planned and reckless growth. So this low density housing would be something that would be favorable. Developer realizing his profit and this type of development, and the neighborhood, community, and city would benefit from securing more sustaining and valuable assets invested homeowners. Renters do not have a vested interest in the community. Okay, we see that in homeowners. You're paying property taxes. You're here for longer periods of time. We do not see that in a rental population. Not that I'm opposed to people renting. I've rented in the past, but I know there's a difference between the commitment you have to your city, to your community when you're a homeowner versus someone who can be transient. Most all of you either know, you're friends with, you went to school with, someone that's in our neighborhood that supports you in your city, your community roles, and we ask that you support us as tax-paying, homeowning residents in the area, and not approve this development, and consider a low-density, single-family residential zoning classification for that property, as it does seem that commercial is really, it is not appropriate at all anyway. 49.2% of the population currently per the census in Cedartown is rental. And that's a lot of rental population. Also, there was a concern from the building inspector at the last meeting, the zoning meeting, I don't know if the gentleman's here, about we just need more housing. Well, that may be true, we just need certain types of housing, and not to consider, just keep going on with these multifamily or small lot line, that sort of type of development. However, also according to government records, the city of Cedartown has twice the national average of available rental property. So that's something to think about. We're not in a shortage of a rental property. Okay, we might be in a shortage of homes, but not rental property. We're twice the national average. I have put all this information on the sheet that has the rental information as far as the comps and so forth in the area. So these are things to consider. Also, I cited sources at the bottom. I don't want you to think that all this is just my opinion. I did cite sources, and Ms. Tuck, if you'll forgive me, I'm sure my citations are not NLA. However, I did put in parentheses what that particular reference was addressing in the points that I gave. It's in parentheses there. And these were local studies. These are not studies done off in New York somewhere. These were in Georgia. These are local studies about the effects that we see from this type of development put in neighborhoods that are predominantly, open space, fairly large lots and that sort of thing. So I appreciate your time, and I know that I took more than my time, but I had people that were going to yield theirs to me anyway, so you saw me. But do you have questions for me? And I have other research. I just didn't want to make this a book, but this I hope will support what we're looking at. But we just don't understand why you would put out a future plan that's supposed to last for at least the next 4 years and already start deviating from that plan, especially when it was a joint effort. It wasn't just the city of Cedartown, it involved the entire county and other cities in the county. And, we're just asking you to stick with the plan and stick with the area, the way it's designated, and keep it that way. And, we've met those other requirements as far as the smaller bill. Got questions?
Would you agree that while Cedartown does have abundance of rental units within the city limits, that we also have some not particularly, make sure I say this in a good way. Do we have a lot of slumlords in Polk County as well? I'm just gonna.
I really can't speak to people who own apartments in Cedartown, I really don't know. I know that that where we are, that's a very nice development, however, we were promised that was to be a retirement community. The study I accidentally ran across, which I gave you a picture of the cover of the study, was done years prior to that construction, and that was the intent all along, was it was to be what it is now. It was never intended to be a retirement community. So I don't know I just know that what the developer is expecting, or says he expects, is never going to happen. There's zero evidence out there to support that people are going to pay, or can pay, $1,600 to $1,800 a month for 3-bedroom apartments in the area. It's just not going to happen. So then that leads the road to a developer who needs money, who needs support and help, and you know where that will turn. Will that turn into a slumlord area? I have no idea. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible. It's possible the bodies will come out, you know, but owners change and that sort of thing, you never know. But, I think maybe we go into those who are considered slumlords, if they're there, and maybe force them to make improvements on their property for the people who are currently there, rather than saying, okay, we're just gonna ignore this bad area, we're gonna build another new one somewhere else, and in a few years, it becomes the same thing. So rather than keep adding, fix what we have. You know, if it exists, let's fix it, rather than add to the situation.
Well, I am gonna say, because I know people in the rental business, Phil and I've been in the rental business.
Sure,
We get calls all the time. I hear every single day about people and their good families. They simply want to live in Cedartown. They want to be here. They want good, housing. They just cannot afford at this time, to do that. But to say that we don't have a rental problem, yes ma'am, we most certainly do,
Well,
because we're here.
okay,
So I don't know where your facts came from. I
Well,
know what
this is
reality
from the census, actually, from the census, as far as who turned it in, and said they were really, you know, we're not.
Okay, I just know the real
But
facts of this.
if you can afford $1,600 to $1,800 a month in rent, would you rent or would you go buy a home?
And I'm sure that, and we
I
do
mean,
not
think
have.
about it, $1,600 to $1,800 a month in rent, that would qualify you to purchase a home. If you want to live, you know, if you're wanting to live somewhere.
Some
And
people
I
don't have that
live
level of
somewhere.
credit, and some people don't want the responsibility.
Well,
of buying a
but
home.
we have plenty of, I mean, there's available, the Bonnie's has vacancies right now. So, and it's a very nice complex, so, you know, I mean, I've checked, there are vacancies for at least 3 bedrooms. And, that's where these came from, published vacancies in the area, on the sheet.
Well, I have a lot of people that call me and, they cannot find any place to rent, and it is an economic issue as well. Because if we can't provide housing, and that's one of the things we're told, because you want industry, everybody wants industry. You want the industries here, and they come in and they want to look, well, where's available housing for them? And so so that's one of those things that we have been told in Polk County, not just Cedartown, that you've got to provide more housing, not necessarily all of it. And I would love for everybody to have a home. I'm all for that. But these also, the townhouses fit the need.
Well, could it be considered that they not be so high density and maybe lower density and fewer of them, so that you make these requirements for more space and maybe give people the option of rent to buy? But I'm telling you, the majority, I don't think you're going to find 40 people, looking for a place to rent for $1,600 to $1,800 a
I
month.
don't mind asking the developer.
I
for more
really,
than
I think that would, I think that would be, that's a lot of money
Yeah,
to money.
I don't mind asking the developer.
For rental, for rental property. But the developer has said, they've already spoken publicly and printed that it's $1,600 to $1,800. He addressed that at the last meeting. He addressed the rental expectations at the last meeting was $1,600. That was minimum of $1,600, it would be upwards of that. And we just don't see anything in the
I think we
contract.
need to get a compromise here, because I think we're getting close to that, but I can see lower density.
Yeah, like lower density spacing and, and maybe rent to buy options, that kind of thing.
I think we can.
Because if you have that kind of money, maybe your credit isn't great, but if you have a few months to pay rent in a rent purchase type situation, then you're building credit, by doing that. And, but 40 homes on 11 acres, with a lot of that being taken up apparently with retention ponds, looking to purchase, some property from the bindings to attach to sewer, put them from main to gravity sewer, those types of things, in a retention pond area, there's creek in the area, it's gonna be concentrated. And, and the turning off and that sort of thing, but we're just asking that as this is proposed at this time, and that we just ask that you not approve it. So, and look at maybe some sort of other zoning that would be a little bit stricter, and maybe look at some plans that are more conducive to single residences that might be easier to purchase, or that sort of thing.
Thank you.
Okay?
And to me, this is what neighborhoods need to do. If something's going in, you don't wanna be on the tail end of it, say, well, I wish I had said something. So we appreciate it when you come forward and let us know.
Well, and I will speak to that, the sign that was supposed to be filled in with information for the original zoning meeting, we never witnessed filled in with information. We have pictures day after day, but we know, and he showed, but we have pictures day after day where there was never any, and I called 3 times asking for information on the blank sign on Blanche Road, and I never got a return call. That was the number that was at the bottom that is pre-printed on the sign. The sign now about this meeting has been down for days, and I photographed it coming into the
Probably
meeting.
came down
But,
after the
It's
planning commission, didn't it?
No, he just filled it in with the information for this meeting. Yeah, we talked, you filled it in for information for this meeting, but
What
it's
I can
down.
tell you, if I can handle on it, what I can tell this, commission, somebody wiped that sign clean. When I went after the meeting, after the planning commission, there was smell of gas on the sign. I went back today, witnessed somebody had knocked the sign down. I can't answer to all of that, but after the planning commission, the same day, it was re-put up. The sign still had writing. It had writing on it today, but somebody had knocked it down.
It's been down for several days, cause I passed by it probably 4 times a day.
But y'all-
But at any rate,
This-
the
this
deal
room
is,
there
we
was
wouldn't have
bad.
knocked it
They
down
was
because we
public
wanted
notice.
people here, so. Yeah, we didn't knock it down, we wanted people to show up, so, if they didn't come from our end, so we wanted to get through here as possible. Okay. Thank you very much, I appreciate your time and others that you'll give their time to.
Is anyone else here to speak against the conditional use request, or the rezoning request, sorry?
Well, my husband told me to behave at this meeting, so I'm just gonna give you my opinion. I know how things start out, and it's gonna be wonderful and beautiful, and I probably won't live long enough to see the bad things that will happen with this. But, if people get desperate enough to rent something out, there'll be 3 and 4 families in one location, and y'all have seen it all over the county, to just give the dollar. And that's what we do not want. And this county can't afford that.
Can I ask her, the same question that, Ms. Little raised? As far as a single family low density residential area, would you be opposed to that? If this were tweaked to that?
I don't know, probably more so than what's offered right now.
Road for himself need to be answering this question. This is pretty important to everybody. Since we have a representative, not the gentleman, but if he's not concerned enough to be here himself for something like this, you just don't know right away.
Is anyone else here to speak against the rezoning request? Hearing none, the public hearing will stand closed.
All right, let's move on to our.
Make sure to check out part 2 and see how the issue is resolved, or read the story that goes along with this video on polktoday.com. I'm Kevin, the editor. Thanks for watching this Polk Today video. We'll be back with more subscriber-only video on local issues that matter to you soon.